Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Darrell Owens back for another edition of One on One here on the LegacyMaker Sports Network, and of course, airing on the amazing Bowie Television. It is episode 203 of One on One, and of course, we're doing our draft specials. We had Jay Quimby's a couple weeks ago, his first draft. We had James Brown last week. We got my man, the myth, the legend, Lamont Thomas, join us for his mock draft, his second straight year giving us a mock draft. There's another story behind that because technically it's three, but we're not gonna get into that. We're not gonna get into that. It's a little bit of a sore memory. But anyway, Lamont's coming on today. We're gonna knock this bad boy out and kind of figure out where Lamont sees things going here in the 2026 NFL draft. Tomorrow, we got Jay coming on for his final mock, and then after that, it will be the draft itself. Let's see what Lamont's got up his sleeve here for episode 203. It's Lamont Thomas's NFL mock draft here on One on One. One, 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 one. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to the one-on-one. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof. Welcome to one-on-one at LegacyMaker Sports Network. Yo, what's up, everyone? Back with you again. I got my man, the myth himself, the legend, Lamont Thomas, in the building with me to break down his NFL mock draft. Lamont, how are you doing today, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. It's that time of year again, NFL draft. Everybody's excited. Everybody's been waiting. Even my son and I have been having conversations daily of what could happen, what's going to happen, and man, I'm here for it.
I'm glad you say that. I know I'm jealous because my son is nowhere near into football the way I would love him to be in football. He's out there animating, he's doing his thing. But how is that with your son, man? Like that, is he a Broncos fan? First of all, let's get that clarified.
No. Yeah, he's a Commanders guy. He's a home guy. Yeah,
okay.
But born and raised, I can't be mad at him, man. That's
yeah.
The heart is where the home is. I can't be mad at that. But I love the passion, man. I love talking about it, and there's nothing wrong with that. Not being a football, because DJ, let me tell you what, he is awesome. I've had the pleasure of meeting your son, man. He's great.
So, little man, like, and before we get into it, who he got Washington picking at 7? Who does he want?
He wanted. He misses. He wants to see the linebacker or receiver.
Okay.
So he wants somebody with Scary Terry, but he also he's gonna miss Iron Man at the linebacker. They just lost.
Was it Bobby?
Who was it that they lost? Yeah, Wagner.
Yeah.
So he was like, we got to get somebody to replace him. So one of the two. So I think the mock will make him happy because I had.
You got a vision going on for him. All right, that's cool. Now, speaking of the before we get into the actual mock, this NFL offseason, of course, they get wilder and wilder each year. What have been your thoughts in the offseason? What have you liked? What have you disliked? Before we get into this draft.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's kind of looking like the rumors immediately start about who wants to trade and who wants to go here. It's like the transfer portal in the pros, man. It's crazy. It's hard to differentiate what the rumors are from what's truth, and then you start to see things play out, and it's like it's always a saga. Max Crosby traded and then not traded, and as a Broncos fan, I'm like throwing a party, and then I'm getting mad all over again. It's NFL, baby. What can you say?
Yeah, it's disrespectful to be honest with you, because David let that man come into the building and then was like, I don't want to see him. I'm like, what you mean? It's like you break up. It's like you break up with that girl. You know what I'm saying? You just broke up with the girl. You know she gonna be around in the hallway. You trying to do your best to avoid her, and that's what they were doing. It was like, I know I got to see her at some point because we got 7 period together. But by all means, and that's crazy. They had my man hiding all day long. I just thought that was really funny.
It is wild. Siri play folded by Kalani. That's what it because that's what it was like. Come pick up your clothes.
It's so bad, man. It's so bad. It's so bad. But yeah, crazy all season so far. My boys did nothing, but I'm not even gonna get into that because I'm not trying to be in a bad mood. We already not
No,
picking in the
no.
first round. At pick 52, it is.
No, I'm with you
Um,
now.
we done traded. We done traded everybody. Ain't got no picks. Micah's injured. Traded Wicks. Still heard about
Oh
that. I
my
can't believe they
goodness.
traded Wicks. I'm like, bro, what are we doing? I'm. There's still some solid veteran receivers out there, which is what I've been begging for years. We need one. D Hop's out there. Beckham looked like he's going to sign with the Giants.
Hmm.
And I really don't want Beckham, but D Hop is out there. There's Debo's out there. So they've
Debo is
got
out there.
people out there that could contribute. But I'm gonna wait.
Yep.
Maybe they're gonna wait till after the draft. Whatever. But
Hopefully
would that
they
be
get it done, man.
exactly? But we shall see. Now, with that being said, let's go ahead and get into Lamont Thomas's first round mock. We're also going to get into sleepers later too, but we're going to get into that first round mock first. Let's go ahead and get this thing started the right way. So, with the first pick on the board, the Vegas Raiders, worst team in football last year, you get the dubious honor of picking first. And in a lot of people's eyes is a foregone conclusion. Is that the same for you, sir?
It is a foregone conclusion. I do think with the first pick of the draft, the Vegas Raiders will select Fernando Mendoza, quarterback Indiana. I think that as awesome as they're going to look on paper, that they have 9 other picks in this draft, and I think that if they can hit on some of those, oh man, it's going to hurt me to say this. They can make some noise. Like offense is shaping up. You got Brock Bowers, you got Ashton Genty, Mendoza. We know is a winner. So man, if they can get it together, they can turn some things around. I hope
Yeah.
not, but yeah.
Yeah, I hope not. And you notice the most interesting thing is they bring in Kirk Cousins, and me and James talked about this on the last episode. They bring in Kirk Cousins, and you know that Kurt is going to be a critical piece for the development of this young man. Because here's the thing: you don't even have to start him. You could start Kirk Cousins,
Mm,
and with what they have there and what they added defensively, and then somehow, and we talked about this a couple seconds ago, they still have Max Crosby because the Ravens said, "No, we good." So all of that defensive talent they brought in on top of
right.
Max Crosby makes it a very interesting offseason for the Raiders.
Yes, it does.
So at number 2, a team that is picking that seems like nobody wants to be there. And it's the most insane thing. It's like, you want to be the number 2 pick of the draft? Well, who's picking? The New York Jets. Ooh, I don't. Can
I
I
got
wait
that
till
thing.
next year?
Yeah, I
My
got that
man,
thing. What thing? Anything.
yeah, my man from Oregon, Dante Moore was like, he was probably gonna be the second pick in this draft, and
Mm,
he said, "I'm gonna hold up. I'll come out next year." That's crazy because he already knew. He was like, "I'm not even gonna fall into that trap. I don't want the opportunity." With that being said, and nobody wanted to go to New York, who do you have going to New York at number 2?
I think at number 2, the New York Jets will select David Bailey, edge rusher, Texas Tech. You can throw those edges and those linebackers around a little bit for the top of the draft, but I do believe he's an instant game changer. They say, he has the short arms or whatnot, but the motor on this guy is absolutely ridiculous, and he's one of the reasons why the Red Raiders had one of the best defenses last year. So he's a disruptor. I just feel like you need a staple if you're the Jets, right? It's always the case, but hopefully it pans out for you, and you can add to that defensive strength that you have because they did have a strength on defense at one point in time, traded away a few players in the offseason or towards the end of the season last year, and hopefully they can get that back and at least have that piece going for them.
That's where it gets interesting. A lot of people think this could be Arvell Reese, but Arvell Reese has made it
Mm-hmm.
completely clear. Hey, I don't play well in New York. He said this months ago. My man, I've never seen a draft pick say, I've just never played well in New York. So I guess if he goes to the Giants, if I'm the Giants, do I, maybe I hold off on that too if he comes to me because he said he doesn't play well in New York. You're going to play half of your games there. You can't do that. So if you're the Jets, just stay clear for somebody who just don't want to be there. But Bailey,
I
in
think
a
he's
lot of
scared
people's
of
eyes,
getting green.
yeah. And a lot of people in their eyes, Bailey is the best edge rusher in this draft. So we'll see if that's the case. At number 3, the Arizona Cardinals. Now, there's a lot of whispers. that the Kansas City Chiefs are interested in moving up to 3 or 4, which really makes me wonder, like, where would they go with this pick? But as of now, as of this time, that has not happened. And so at number 3, the Arizona Cardinals, where do they go at number 3?
And I hope that never happens. But I'm going to say at 3, I have the Arizona Cardinals selecting Arvell Reese, linebacker / edge, however you want to line him up for Ohio State. I do think that he could be the key piece to a team that's turning over a new leaf. You know, they rave about him being an off the field leader. That's what you're going to need when you're building the team, right? And if he can be as dominant of a player and actually affect that locker room, Darrell, I think that could be a good piece for the Arizona Cardinals to start anew.
Yeah, Arizona's a very interesting city. They obviously, in my opinion, need quarterback, but have decided, you know what? They look like they're content with waiting the next year. And Jacoby Brissett has not signed with the team yet. So they're waiting to see if I think they're trying to get the extension or something going with that situation. That's a whole nother scenario that you got to kind of watch out for, because he wants to be paid like a starter, and you can't blame him. If you want me to be the starter, pay me like a starter, even if it is for 1 year. And starters are running around $20 million. So we'll see if that ends up being the case in Arizona. At number 4, the new look Tennessee Titans, and I'm in love with that Oiler blue returning in that Oiler red or whatever that color may be, just
Nice.
Oiler colors in general. How do you feel about the new look Tennessee Titans, and where did they go at 4?
I like the new look. It gives me those Aaron McNair vibes, man. It looks great.
Yes,
But for the 4th pick, I got the Titans selecting Jeremiah Love, running back Notre Dame. A lot of different views of where he's going to go in this draft. It could shake up the draft depending on if somebody decides to come get him or if he falls or whatever happens with him. So he's definitely a key piece to this draft. We know how running backs are treated, in terms of, being drafted and signed and all those sort of things. But I think that when the Titans get here, if he's available on the board, he's going to be that player on the draft board that they say we will not pass him by, right? Sure, you got Pollard in the backfield, and they running game's not terrible. There's other needs for sure, but I just think that this is a player that they will regret passing if they do it, and they just feel like he's one that can make an instant impact and possibly the best impact for this franchise.
I agree 100%. I think that if you're Tennessee, and Arizona could actually use Love too, which is yes, they have Connor, but Connor's has some injury issues, so that's something that you can look into. The first 2 teams, I can't see them going running back, but if they go this route and you have Pollock, you have Love, and you just give just an extra, person that can just take the load off of Cam Ward while he's trying to learn, I don't think you go wrong there. I don't think you go wrong there at all.
Yeah.
At number 5, the New York Football Giants are on the clock, and for the first time, are on the clock. Where do you have them going at number 5?
Yeah, the busy New York Football Giants at number 5. I have them going Francis, and I hope I don't butcher his name. I don't know if it's Malgoa, the offensive tackle for Miami. But I do think that he might be a good fit for the dual threat of a Jackson Dart. Right, we know that Dart came in, was flashy. He did some things both with his feet and with his arm. They're going to need somebody back there who can be flexible, at the tackle spot, and I think that this guy can give it to him.
Yeah, he's been a big name on boards. I've seen him anywhere from here to the middle of the pack, but he's obviously in most people's eyes that top 1 or 2 tackles in this draft, and they definitely have a need there in New York. You got to protect Jackson Dart. He took a couple of hits last year that some were his fault, some were not his fault, but they've got to protect him if he's going to be the future of that football team. At number 6, they seem to always be here, the Cleveland Browns.
The Cleveland Browns at number 6. I have them taking Spencer Fano, offensive tackle or guard for Utah, depending on where they ought to use him. That's the pro for him, is that they can play him almost anywhere on the O-line. He has a lot of experience. I think that, may depend on what you're going for, right? If you want to do a pass attack or a rush attack to be dominant, But I just think that he's so versatile, man, that Cleveland definitely needs a sure thing. They're kind of like in that Jets boat. Defense can be spectacular, but it doesn't necessarily win you games, right? So get somebody on the offense who can be a staple and going forward can, be somebody you rely on coming down the stretch.
Yeah, that defense doesn't win games unless they play the Packers, but that's another story for another day.
Oh,
I'm not even
no.
gonna get, I'm not even gonna get into that because I mean, boy, I tell you what, that's
I'm
boy.
so sorry.
I know that's not. Don't be sorry. They did it to themselves. Now, with Cleveland, they got a very interesting scenario coming up here
Uh-huh.
in the next couple of months because Deshaun Watson healthy. They paid him $6 trillion. Shador Sanders had a very productive in the last year. Won some games that and he was able to kind of get the energy going in Cleveland. The
Pro Bowl
Cleveland,
on his contract.
yes, technically, yes, he got a Pro Bowl on his contract. Despite how people look at it, he was very successful towards the end of that season and really gave the Cleveland fan base something to cheer about. They really love him there.
They
They don't
do.
have that same love for Deshaun Watson. That's where it's going to get interesting. That they need
Hmm.
offensive weapons. They could go receiver because the receiver room doesn't look the hottest. And they did get rid of my man Njoku, who's no longer there. So they had Fannin, who had a really good year. But offensive line, receiver, that offense just needs help. Offense
Yeah.
just needs help in Cleveland. At number 7, your son has already said what he wanted. But where do you have the Washington Commanders picking at number 7?
Yeah, hope you're proud, Lowell. At number 7, the Washington Commanders. I got them selecting Sonny Styles, linebacker, Ohio State. This guy is a stud. Last year, 77 tackles. He runs a 4.46 40, 43 and a half inch vertical. I mean, he's the next generation linebacker, right? He's the guy that goes sideline to sideline. Washington losing Bobby Wagner. My son was not happy with that. He wants them replaced. He wanted to go there or receiver, which I could also see them doing that too. But they got a couple of names in the receiver room. So yeah, I say they take Styles here and really turn this defense up. Well, we remember a couple years ago they had a pretty stellar defense when they had all the Alabama guys,
Yep.
on the D line, and they guys had to get paid, man, and they don't have them all anymore. But hopefully Styles can bring back that commanding defense.
Yeah, Styles is intriguing to me. There's a lot of word on the street that Styles is a DQ guy. Like DQ really likes Styles. So they're going to need somebody who can help build that thing back up, especially with the Bobby Wagner situation in Washington. The future Hall of Famer is, maybe not being there is going to be a very, very tough thing for Washington fans to kind of dissolve. He was second in the league in tackles last year, even at the age of 36. So that tells you how good that man has been over time
He can play.
for the Washington Commanders. So the new look Commanders. Before we move to New Orleans, what were your thoughts on the jerseys for the Commanders?
Man, we talked about it, man. I just thought I was going to see a little more flair.
Yeah,
Of course, whenever there's a jersey reveal, your fans, your hometown people are going to be excited, But they looked, too much of what we've seen before. To me, I'd want
yeah.
to see a little more razzle dazzle, but if that's what they're going with, and hopefully they play nice in them.
Yeah, I like the black ones. I like the W with the arrow going through it. I don't understand why they didn't put the arrow on all the helmets, but I'm not going to
Right.
fight that fight. There's no need to fight that fight. And a lot of fans are pumped up about it, but they could have done worse. I mean, you could have done what the Rams did. Go out here and act like you're going to have a big jersey reveal, and it looks exactly
The
the
exact same
same.
replica.
They put small. The changes are so small. You be like, hey, that's the same jersey.
Right.
Are you me right now? Look, you're like you.
Yeah.
So
Spider-Man move, bro.
yeah, what you doing there? But besides the point, at number 8, we got the New Orleans Saints, who surprised a lot of teams last year. They had a really nice run down the stretch, and I said this with James the other day. I felt like this was going to be a quarterback. At the beginning of last year, I was like, this is going to be a
Hmm.
quarterback. They don't have a quarterback. They didn't draft Shador, but Tyler Shuck went out there in that second half of the season. He beat pretty
Oh,
much everybody in the division, did his thing, and he deserves the chance to start. Like he proved to me, and I was a hater. I was like, I can't even say his name, Shucksy, Shooksy, Shoxy,
right.
and I was like, I don't think that guy deserves to be, out there. But he proved me wrong. I'm man enough to say, hey, man, Tyler, my fault, brother. Good luck this season. I hope things work out for you. Where do you have the New Orleans Saints picking at number 8?
At number 8, I got the New Orleans Saints selecting Ruben Bain Jr., edge rusher of Miami. Now, assuming recent events does not affect his draft status, because we know that
Yes.
he's got some things going on, but that explosiveness on tape is there, right? He's another guy that they question his length, right? Arm length isn't the greatest, but when you see him on tape, it's like, bro, it's
Man,
like he
forget
gets
them arms.
shot out of a cannon, man. Who's gonna stop it? So, they can use some playmakers on defense, to say the least. We do know that. I think that, if he gets in there and he's the stud that he can be potentially, the Saints can start to build. I mean, think about Cam Jordan and not being, the staple of the Saints that he's been forever. You need another one. So
It'll be interesting to see where New Orleans goes with that. Surprised a lot of teams, like I said, at the end of the last year, ruined some playoff dreams for some people in the South.
mhm.
So, I'm not going to say they're going to go in as a division winner next year, but with the way that division has been,
You never know.
it has been all Bucks. But now you see the Carolina Panthers get a win. You don't know what that division is going to look like next year. The Atlanta Falcons, we don't know what that's going to be with Tua. So that's the South will be an interesting division next year. At number 9, a team that I know you don't like them, and we can be honest about it. You don't like them, but where do you see the Kansas City Chiefs going at number 9?
Oh, my good old friends, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Suckers.
At number 9, right? I get them drafting Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, Arizona State. It could be a case where the rich get richer. Just when I think that, they might have somebody who's long in the tooth, or they don't have a player that's been explosive anymore. Here you go. Here's another playmaker. I think that he can be an excellent offensive weapon for them. I think that, Mahomes coming off a big injury, he may not be able to be as mobile as he was before, right? He may need somebody to help out with that, right? So they don't put so much on him offensively, and I think that Jordan Tyson can do that for this team.
Yeah, I mean, Jordan Tyson, there are some injury concerns, but a lot of people, they've done some physicals and stuff. They feel pretty good about where he is. So that was an initial scare for some teams, but some teams have worked them out. The medical reports have went in his favor, which is good for him at this time. Kansas City's going to be interesting because they may not have Pat Mahomes at the beginning of that season. That means it's Justin Fields' show. And like I was telling James, I like this for Justin Fields because you're going to learn finally from one of the greatest offensive minds in NFL history and Andy Reid. No more defensive coaches as your head coach. You got somebody there who can be a tool to maybe help take you to the next level and maybe finally get you a starting job and consistency because we know the talent is there. It
Oh,
just
yeah.
defensive coach, defensive coach, defensive coach,
Yeah.
and it just didn't work out. At number 10, surprisingly, a couple of days ago, this was the Cincinnati Bengals, but they decided to trade Sexy Dexy Lawrence to Cincinnati for the number 10 pick. Where do you have the Giants with their second pick in the top 10?
I think it's interesting them coming up to this spot, right? We've seen in the past few years in the draft, Darrell, that the NFC East love to undercut each other and take somebody's next pick, right? Like it just happens all the time
Yep.
in this division, and I think that this is what the Giants intend to do exactly with this pick. I have them selecting with the number 10th pick, Caleb Downs, safety of Ohio State. I think that if it makes sense for them to come up to get somebody from a divisional opponent, it would be this guy, right? Because the potential's off the charts. He's definitely my favorite DB in this draft. The stability he's going to bring on the roster, he has the potential to be the best defensive player on the team. I remember when they drafted, was it them or they either traded for him or they drafted Jabril Peppers.
Mm-hmm.
And this is who I feel like they're trying to mimic with this pick, like right. But the potential I feel like is more with Caleb Downs, even more so. And I hate to say it because coming from Ohio State, but I love watching the guy play. Man, he's amazing. Yeah. So Caleb Downs for this Giants team could really turn this defense around, and I like this pick for them.
And Ohio State's cooking so far. 3 Ohio State players in the top 10. Still got a couple of gold here. But at number 11, speaking of Ohio State, the Dolphins need everything.
They do.
They traded everything away or gave everything away. Tariq Hill, free agent potential, Kansas City reunion potential.
Mhm.
He's gone. Chubb is gone. They just started getting. Achin is a potential person that could be gone. Like he's
Crazy.
not even at workouts right now. And he's like, I'm not coming
Oh,
up in that
really?
bed. He
Oh
don't want to
man.
be there. So they've gotten rid of a
Got
lot of
Fitzpatrick
pieces.
back.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. They got Fitzpatrick. They done got rid
Did
of a
they
lot
trade
of
him again?
pieces. I know. Well, I don't. I can't remember if he came back or not, but I know they were talking about potential him like not being there, and I'm like, Dad, who they gonna have? They signed Willis to all this money, and I feel bad for Willis because I feel like he should have went to Arizona because Matt's brother Mike is in Arizona, and they
Right.
need a quarterback. But I digress. I'm not that smart of a man. I digress. Where do the Dolphins go at number 11?
And I'm sorry, I was thinking about the Jets for Fitzpatrick, but
It's okay.
yeah, both teams tend to like to trade all their players. So at 11, I got the Miami Dolphins selecting Carnell Tate, the wide receiver for Ohio State. Sticking with the Buckeye theme here, but they have a lot of good players coming here in the draft. I think the head coach, I think Jeff Hafley, it makes sense for him. He has ties to Ohio State and to Ryan Day. And I think that, he can feel the loss that they've had. Like you said, both Tyreek and Waddle being gone.
Gone.
I really love Waddle's new home, but that's another story.
This is a nice spot for him. Nice spot for him.
Yeah. But no, I really think that, you're rebuilding with a playmaker who can score, right? Who can do things with the ball in his hands. Carnell Tate will be the guy.
Yeah, so Tate becomes the second receiver off the board and heads to Miami. At number 12, we got a team that's always in the mix. In some reason, it's either bad, good, maybe so, you name it. We're talking about Jerry's world and the
Mm-hmm.
Dallas Cowboys. Where did Dallas go at number 12?
Love them, like them, or hate them. They're always here. Uh,
Always.
I think the Dallas Cowboys at number 12, they select Mansour Delane, cornerback, LSU. I do think that originally I had them getting Caleb Downs and him falling right here.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I think that the Giants are going to undercut them and take that pick. And I think that they're going to be left with Delane, which is not bad, right?
Yeah, if
The
you're going to be
Cowboys,
left with somebody.
right. They say he's most likely the best corner in the draft. And I just think that for all the big plays they gave up on defense, they really could have they were right there in a bunch of games last year, and they really need to cut down on those big plays. And I think you pair him with the Jalen Thompson and a Malik Hooker, and now that defensive secondary can start to match up with athleticism, right? And I think
Yeah.
that if they do that, the Cowboys can turn the page here at getting their defense together.
Yeah, they got rid of Diggs, and then they signed Bland to a long-term deal, so that kind of gives them a chance to have a really nice young secondary if Delane ends up in Dallas. Now, let's head into our second part of our second graphic here. We're heading to number 13. We're talking about the team that decided to change their jerseys, but yet didn't change their jerseys at the same time. It's going to bother my spirit. I never seen a hype video. Look, doom, 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 doom. Matt Stafford up there smiling and stuff. I'm like, these ain't different. The only thing they really did difference, I think they gave him yellow pants, but they were wearing those before. I'm like,
Right. It's
we
like the
we we got to stop doing jersey hype ups for the same thing.
he went
I
from the
mean,
iPhone 2 to the iPhone 2.5.
right, right. Like what you think we're gonna have? Doom, 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 doom. Everybody's looking cool and stuff. I'm like, that's the same jersey, but all right, I'm gonna leave it alone. At 13, you got the Los Angeles Rams. Where do you head with 13?
I have the LA Rams at 13 selecting Makai Lemon, wide receiver for USC. I think, you got to think about Devontae Adams after this year and having to replace him. And I think that, maybe Lemon can do that, right? You got Puka Nakua there, but you got to keep the playmakers in a playmaker offense. You have Stafford, you got McVay, and I think we're talking about a possible last dance for Stafford, right? He's going to need all the weapons he can get, and I think Lemon can do that for this team.
Yeah, I like the Lemon pick because yes, Adams could be out the door at some point. Then on top of Adams being out the door, Puka Nakua is just he's biting people. Like
Yes.
I don't understand why he decided I'm gonna bite you.
Yeah.
I don't. I don't know. And so with that going on, you gotta lock up some things as a receiver as a security thing. The only other and this could be a wild one, but the only other thing I can see what the Rams doing here, and this is a long shot in the first round, would be go QB here. They are trying to sign
I
Stafford
can see
long
it.
term, or at least to lock him up. But you gotta find that guy who's going to be the future, because Stafford's probably
Mm.
got maybe a year or two left in the tank. I mean, look, I don't want to doubt the MVP, but I think at some point he's going to probably want to chill out with the girls. He's got a Super Bowl. He's got an MVP. He's a future Hall of Famer. I'm not ashamed to say that. The guy's been great over his time. So it's going to be hard for me to see him maybe another year or two before. But they've got to figure out what's that next step at quarterback. You're losing Devontae at some point. What's the next step there? They did a really good job of not gonna say you can't replace Aaron Donald, but they did a good
Right.
job of putting people in position to keep things rolling there
Oh yeah.
in LA. At 14, the Baltimore Ravens, very interesting team. New head coach with Jesse Minter there. Lamar, they're still trying to get their contract extension going on there. Half of their tight ends are gone. Likely's in New York. Kular went to the Chargers. And one of the biggest problems, they offensive line. So where do you have the Ravens going at 14?
I have the Baltimore Ravens at 14 selecting Kenyon Sadiq, tight end for Oregon. Like you said, likely went out of the door with the coach, all right, to New York. You got a player who has the most catches in a season ever for Oregon at tight end. I think he could be a great talent that's paired with Lamar Jackson, right? You're still going to need weapons for him. You can figure this out. I think that you sort of address your offensive line issue because he does also work as a lineman. But I think a tight end here would be a good fit for this team.
Yeah, I mean, and technically, it feels like they only have one tight end, and that is Mark Andrews. Mark Andrews, did sign an extension not too long ago, but there's nobody else, and Mark Andrews is a little bit older now, so you've got to find that young gun who could potentially take the role in the future. At 15, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they fell apart. They were looking good at one point during that season. I think they were like 6-3, and then they just started losing. And they just lost their way right out of the playoffs. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts at number 15? Where do they go with number 15? I can't get my words out. Something like that. Where do they go with 15? Tampa Bay. I was trying to milk it up real nice, but it didn't work out. Where do the
That's all
Tampa Bay
good.
Buccaneers go at 15?
At 15, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting Jermod McCoy, cornerback Tennessee, tough player. I think that he'll be an instant upgrade to their cornerback room. And you want to talk about players who had short arms. This guy has a 77-inch wingspan, so he has arms for days. So I think that this guy, you put him in there, he gets some stops on some big players within the division, and then like you said, you really got to address where this team fell off last year, right? Because you had some injuries here and there, definitely on offense. On defense, though, they were almost a staple. It's like you know what you're getting with this Tampa Bay defense, and now after this year, you may not be so sure. So I think this player comes in, he's a plug and play. If he starts to be successful instantly, I think you got one. If you're the Bucks.
Yeah, Tampa Bay definitely trying to find some ways to improve. Kind of didn't improve in certain aspects by departures. Lamonte David retiring, who's another future Hall of Famer. You can't take that away from him. And then another future Hall of Fame. You lose two Hall of Famers in all season. It's tough. Mike Evans heading to San
Yeah,
Francisco.
that's a big one.
And that one is just, I'm not gonna lie to you. I never saw Mike Evans in another uniform. I knew he was gonna be a free agent, but it did not cross my mind that he would be leaving Tampa Bay. And unless Tampa Bay decided we're just not doing this, and it's just the weirdest thing. So it's gonna be weird to see him in San Francisco, but they need
So strange.
receiver help because their receivers don't stay healthy. So we'll see what happens there. At 16, speaking of receivers, the New York Football Jets are back on the clock.
I have the Jets taking Omar Cooper Jr., wide receiver for Indiana. I think that his comparison is sort of like a Debo Samuel. I feel like you get a jackknife on offense like that, and you pair him with the Garrett Wilson, who's been consistent with who knows what at quarterback for the past forever. I just think that you got some weapons, man. Brees Hall's still back there, right? Maybe this offense can finally come together. You still got to figure out the quarterback situation. Maybe.
Gino.
Gino's there
Gino.
now. Maybe
Gino.
if he can be just stable enough to thrive around all these weapons, we have seen him,
Yeah.
have some sparks here or there. So who knows? I got them taking Omar Cooper here.
I just want Aaron Glenn to do well. And
That too.
it's not a lot. It's not a lot of people of his complexion left at the head coaching position. And
Not at all.
I just want to see my guy do well, man. And he wanted to be a Jet. He wanted to be. He was a former Jet. He wanted to be there. And
He did.
the owner did him some injustices, but I'm also gonna let that one fly too. At number 17, the Detroit Lions. Where do you have them
The
going?
Detroit Lions at 17.
Yes, I've been waiting for this. Me and Jay talked about this, and me and Jay talked about this in those first two episodes. I'm like, if anybody can say this name, if anybody can say this name,
I have the Lions take. Drum roll.
Yes.
Aleva Vega, Ione.
There you go. Yeah.
Penn State. I think that he's had a flawless year last year. He allowed 0 sacks, right? Just an IQ off the charts, right? He screams Detroit to me, right? They're always talking about mentality there. Campbell has these guys, just bred and ready to just duke it out with anybody on the field. And I think this is a player for them. And, they love to run the ball, right? They love to be hard-nosed, and I think this is the player for them.
Yeah, I think it's a solid pickup. There's a lot of teams that could use this young man that have some offensive line troubles, but I could definitely see them picking him up in Detroit. It could be a really nice pickup. I also can see the Ravens. Ravens have been really eyeing this young man as well, so that could be another potential pick. At a team that I hate with all of my heart. Not some of it, but with all of my heart, the Minnesota Vikings picking at 18. Who do you have? The purple people eaters taking?
Or as you probably know them as the purple suckers.
Suckers?
At 18, I got
suckers, baby.
I got Minnesota Vikings taking Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, safety of Toledo. Talk about tough. This guy finds the football. Handful of interceptions, throughout the past couple of years. If he can bring some turnovers to this Minnesota Vikings defense, which we have seen in past few years, I think that this Vikings team can be back on track and, possibly try to make some noise.
Look, Kyler Murray being there now, people are not talking about that move enough. The NFC North just got extremely tougher. People forget that the Vikings. So when I went to Minnesota last year, which I can't believe I'm about to give them a credit, but I am. Two things as a media person: food, great job, Minnesota. Food was really good. Shout out to the kitchen staff there; they did an amazing job. It was a beautiful spread, right? Secondly, as much as I hate this purple and yellow team, the arena was amazing. The crowd atmosphere, top notch, for a team that was 4-8. And that building to be packed to the rim. You know how many teams don't show up after their team is losing?
Right.
4-8. And that stadium was packed. And all the Skol chants in the world. And they went in there and they beat up on the Commanders, didn't let them score. And every opportunity was just loud and proud in there. So as much as I dislike them, I will give the fans credit for what they did there. And I will give them the food staff and the stadium itself a shout out. Just an amazing experience for myself being there. And I can't believe I'm saying that out loud. And every touchdown they play Prince at the end of every touchdown.
Rain.
So no, they play I can't think of it. It's not popping in my head, but they play that at the end of every.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I know, and people yell at us for this if they watch the show. But I know, and it's not, the words are not clicking. But they play it at the end of every touchdown, and so like I said, I got to give them credit for that. Also, Toledo, this could be the second defensive back had come out of Toledo, making in the first round the last couple of years. Quentin Mitchell, who is in Philadelphia. At 19, a surprising team to make the playoffs last year. Shocked the world, the Carolina Panthers.
19, I have the Carolina Panthers select Monroe Freeland, offensive tackle for Georgia. He can be an anchor on either side of the line, right? And I think one of the things we've seen with Bryce Young at quarterback is that when he gets a little time, he can make plays, right? The jury was out on him. He had a terrible first year, but he had no time, right?
None.
And I feel like if you get him more time we've seen that he's had some of the most comebacks in the NFL as a quarterback in the past 2 years that he's been there. I think the guy can do some work.
Yeah, shout out to Dave Canales. There was something in my spirit last year when I knew that the year before last when they brought Canales in. We saw the work he did with Baker Mayfield. He did really good things in Seattle. So people were really like with Geno. So people were really hyping him up. He comes there to Carolina. It was a little rocky in the beginning, but from that time that they benched him, and the year before last till
Mm-hmm.
now, he's done nothing but prove that reason why a lot of people feel like, okay, this is why he picked him at number one. And when we see CJ Stroud unfortunately regress because it was looking the complete opposite after
Yep.
year one. But shout out to Bryce Young for what he's doing, and I think he's going to play himself into an extension this year coming up. The only thing, and I talked to this with James the other day. Now they're going to have a number one, team schedule. They won the division, so you're going to get those first place teams.
Right.
I'm interested to see how they handle that. I mean, they did beat the Rams during the regular season, so we shall see. Picking for the second time in the first round because this was the Green Bay Packers pick, but they used it to get Michael Parsons, which I do not regret, despite the injury. Because before we lost that game to Denver, we were cooking, and we lost all the games after after he got injured. We did not win another game that season, which
I'm
is crazy.
sorry about that.
Made the playoffs, didn't win another, lost 5 straight games. Made the playoffs, lost 5 straight games, lost first round playoffs. That's what they did last year, suckers.
Oh,
At number 20, the Dallas Cowboys. Where do you have Jerry and the crew going this
it's like
time
a
around?
staple for this show. Suckers.
Suckers, yeah, man. Suckers.
20, I got the Dallas Cowboys selected Akeem Mesidor, edge rusher, Miami. Apparently, edge rushers from Miami are few and far between. They just come a dime a dozen now. 17 and a half tackles for loss in 2025, which is insane. This guy can get in the backfield and mess some things up. Jerry's been saying since the trade of Michael Parsons that he wants to stop the run. Well, here you have it, right? This guy can get in the backfield and make some plays. He's also relentless when pursuing the quarterback. So there you go. Nice defensive presence. I had them taking a DB earlier in the draft and paired them together. They can do some damage.
Yeah, a lot of people, question like, did Dallas win that trade? Did Green Bay win that trade? To me, so far, I think it's even. Despite the injury to Micah, we saw what a difference maker he made for that Packers team last year. But you look at what the Cowboys have been able to do with that pick. Getting Quinnen Williams, getting Logan Wilson. They're going to get 2 draft picks here. They were able to do some really good things out of this. They still have Kenny Clark, who is a former Pro Bowler, and they just – I think that, as much as we give Jerry crap for, in the end, this is going to really work out for him. They also have the Packers' first-round pick next season. So,
Right.
and the way they're looking right now, that could be a good pick. But, that's just me being salty. At number 21, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Right now, the Aaron Rodgers-less Pittsburgh Steelers. Where do they go at 21?
At 21, I have the Pittsburgh Steelers selecting T.J. Parker, edge rusher, Clemson. There's a theme now, I think, between, DBs and edge rushers. They're definitely going to make this draft. Wide receivers you could throw in there. I just think that this you want a younger defensive line probably that has less injuries. But we know that it's a strong suit. The pass rush is for the Steelers, right? Obviously, you have Mr. Watt there. Excellent, but he can only be as good as he is when he's on the field. You got this guy's 3 years of experience on Clemson's D-line, 21 sacks. He instantly comes in and adds to this already pretty stellar Steelers defense.
Yeah, Cam Hayward, a vet on that line, and just more pieces that are puzzle. They had the most expensive defense in football last year. It did get them into the playoffs, but it wasn't enough to get a playoff win. At 22, another team that I know in your mind, suckers. The LA
Don't like them,
aka San Diego Chargers. Where do you have Jim Harbaugh on the boards going at 22?
Can't win with them now. And at 22, that's I had to do it. At 22, I have the Los Angeles Chargers selected Blake Miller, offensive tackle, Clemson. I think that this guy can be somebody who's groomed. You can groom him, but with Joe Alt and Rashawn Slater there, possibly move him inside if you have to. I think that he could be poised to be the best offensive lineman on this team down the road, which says a lot for the guys that they already have. I just think that obviously Herbert is really important to this team. He has a lot to prove. We always talk about how he's mentioned with the best quarterbacks, but we don't see it. We don't see that translate to playoff wins, right? Something has to give. We tried it with receivers. They have Lat McConkey, who's actually proved himself, right?
Yep.
So what happens now with that O line? I think they get Blake Miller here.
Yeah, Quentin Johnson, another guy who led the league in drops like 2 years ago, but had a better
Mm-hmm.
season last year. I think he had like 8, 9 touchdowns, so he had a pretty solid year there. They brought back the veteran Keenan Allen, who did some really good stuff at the beginning of the season, but kind of opened the door for the other receivers. They drafted last year Amari and Hampton to be their
Yep.
lead back. So yeah, solidifying that defensive line. That offensive line to me is a big thing for them. So I love that move. At 23, a team that just finds a way. I don't know. They just know how to rebuild. And after last season, I get very scary when we talk about Howie Roseman because he just finds ways to retool a football team. Where do you have the former Super Bowl champions from 2 years ago at 23?
23, I have the Philadelphia Eagles selecting Denzel Boston, wide receiver for Washington. I think this guy can be a stud. He could be, I said, could possibly be the wide receiver steal of the draft. I think that we hear the rumors about A.J. Brown and being traded out, right? You're obviously going to need a replacement. You pair a guy with this size with Devontae Smith. Not sure if he has the one-on-one feet that Brown has, but this guy can come in and if he even comes close to his potential, the Eagles will get rich again. We see them do it on defense. We see them do it with previous picks in the past, as you said. Roseman knows what he's doing. I think the Eagles can do this.
So yeah, the Philadelphia Eagles, they go with Denzel Boston at receiver. They brought in my boy Dontavian Wicks from Green Bay, which I'm still heated about. But the Packers did get a fifth and a seventh round for him when they drafted Wicks for a fifth round, but that still don't just nope. So at number 24, we got the Cleveland Browns picking for the second time. And where do they go at 24?
At 24, I have the Cleveland Browns selecting Casey Concepcion, wide receiver at Texas A&M. I think that as put him in the slot, the guy can do everything. And I think with a guy like that, Todd Monken and the OC, they're going to have some fun, right? You can get creative with his use. You can use him like you see some of these other slot guys in the offense, right? You can hand him the ball, right? You can do little short routes. He can go deep. He can do everything. So I think if they get a player and a playmaker like this, you can start to actually, I don't know, maybe we can expect the Browns to move some things on offense. So
Yeah, that's all. I'm just very intrigued to see where they go at that quarterback position. That's
yes,
where
for
it
sure.
will get interesting. At number 25, another team that, as Peter Griffin would say, grinds my gears. We got the. This is also going to hurt to say the defending NFC North
Oh,
champion, oh, Chicago
right.
Bears. Darrell showing the true colors. I apologize, y'all. I'm know I'm supposed to be professional, but this is the fun part of the year. Just let me have it. I'll be better doing the power rankings. But at number 25, we got the Chicago Bears, the Iceman and the crew. Get a playoff win. Tough matchup against the Rams. Almost made it to the NFC Championship game. Came a little bit short. But where do you have the Chicago Bears going at number 25?
25, I have the Chicago Bears selecting Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, Alabama. It should be a crime the way that this guy moves at 358 pounds because he is quick. I think that the GM Ryan Poles found Trey Smith for Kansas City. He's known for seeking out the next best lineman, and if he does that for a team that obviously we know goes as Caleb goes, that this team could take even more strides. A lot of people didn't really see them going this far last year. They're definitely some fourth quarter kings because we see them do some amazing things at the end of the games. But I think that this guy can really help this team on the offensive end.
Well, they are now the hunted. It's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see how they handle. A Green Bay team that's always going to give them problems. A Lions team that's going to be looking to go back to top of North, and the Vikings team, who just a couple years ago was 14-3, and now they have a new QB. like I say, NFC North this year is going to be highly competitive. At 26, the Buffalo Bills. New dad, but still couldn't get it done in the playoffs, unfortunately. Um, Truly a sin. But with that being a sin, uh, where do you see the Buffalo Bills going at 26? I tried to throw the sinners thing and I did the best I could.
That's
At
hilarious.
26,
I liked
make your
it.
dad proud, Lamont. Make your
Right.
dad proud.
Oh, here we go, Pops. At 26, I got the Buffalo Bills selecting Caden McDonald, defensive tackle, another Ohio State Buckeye. I think that when you look at the Bills being close to last in the NFL in run defense last year, they need someone who can change that, right? When you have a playmaker like Josh Allen, somebody who really runs the offense, being able to stop the run helps Josh Allen control the ball, right? And you need that significant difference for this entire team if they get any player who can really help them do well against the run like they were unable to do last year. So I got McDonald here.
Yeah, it could be a really big pickup for this Bills team that have kind of retooled a little bit. Joe Brady, the new head coach. Very surprising to see Sean McDermott go, but I guess too many, too close, but so far situations for McDermott. So he'll be a hot head coaching candidate next year, along with Mike Tomlin. So if your team sucks next year, you got a chance to get between two really good head coaches on the market next season. At 27, a team that, and I said this with James the other day, I just didn't see them doing well like last year. I had them going 7-10, and I knew they were going to be injured, which they were. But even with the injuries, they won games. They they were really good last year, and had a chance to win the division towards the end of the season, but just couldn't pull it off. And that's the San Francisco 49ers. Just signed Trent Williams back to a 2-year, $50 million deal for the future Hall of Famer. Where do you see them going at number 27?
At 27, I have the 49ers selecting Caleb Lomu, offensive tackle for Utah. And really what it was that replacement, right? That's the writing on the walls, the replacement for Trent Williams, who obviously they still think he's worth coming back and making some more noise, which we have no argument against that, right? It's just the fact that he's 38 years old, and we know that he can't do it forever. But you get a guy like this, and if the 49ers are plagued with injuries like they have been the past few years, somehow they always find another running back or another wide receiver or another offensive lineman. Well, he can be that other offensive lineman that is an insurance, right? He can come in and help out and still keep the 49ers a deep team that they've always been.
Yeah, we'll see if San Francisco can continue their success from from last year, which I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised at all. Once again, the NFC West is going to probably be the toughest division in football with the Rams, the 49ers,
Agreed.
and the Seahawks all in that one division. Sorry, Cardinals, but you got to prove something before I can put you back in the mix. With
Brutal.
those three teams right there, problem. At 28, the Houston Texans, CJ Stroud, tough last 2 years, but regardless of that, CJ Stroud has gotten his team in the playoffs. He's gotten a playoff win each time. He's got just as many playoff wins as Lamar Jackson. I say that out loud. He's
Oh,
got just as many playoff wins at 3 apiece. So you look at that, and a guy who, in some people's eyes, has regressed. Well, where do they go at 28 to change that narrative for CJ Stroud?
it's going to be another name challenge for me. But at 28, I do have the Houston Texans selecting Max Iyenaker, offensive tackle, Arizona State.
Would have never got it. Crazy.
I'm trying, man. But yeah, offensive tackle, Arizona State. Huge potential for this guy. I think that if he is developed the right way, he can turn into a stud, which is going to be hard for any team if the Houston Texans are outplaying them on both the offensive and defensive line. We see
Right.
the defensive line absolutely amazing, right? If the offensive line matches that, this team can control the trenches and be very, very scary. Down the end of last year, it was like almost nobody wanted to play this team. I remember the Broncos game against it was a dogfight. I just felt like every play I just wanted insurance for my players. It was that bad.
So
the
was it
Texans have that type of roster.
one of those weird score games? It was like 18-15.
Yeah,
And like, yeah,
something like
whenever you
that,
see
right?
18-15 games, you're
Right.
like, it's going to be, it's ugly. There's a lot of weird defensive things going
Jumping
on
up and
there.
down because we got a field goal type of game.
Right, right. So Texans go offensive line, and I would not be surprised if they definitely going to need that to help protect CJ this coming season. At 29, a team once again you hate dearly with your heart, but this is their second pick here in the first round, the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, I see red.
Yeah,
At
suckers.
29, suckers. At 29, I see the Kansas City Chiefs selecting Colton Hood, other corner for Tennessee. Um, this guy has ties. He has bloodline. His uncle is Roger Hood, who was also a former NFL corner, right? So he has that inherited elite ball knowledge. The Chiefs lose McDuffie, which was a huge secondary piece for them. And I think that you're going to have to replace him. I had them taking a receiver earlier. I think Colton Hood could come in and be a good asset to this team.
All right, Colton Hood heads to Kansas City to try to help rebuild that Chiefs team after a rough season last year, a surprising season for Kansas City last year, where we didn't even see Pat Mahomes finish the season. At number 30, picking for the second time, the Miami Dolphins.
At number 30, I have the Miami Dolphins selecting Dylan Thieneman, safety for Oregon. This guy can play. He's a sure tackler, also has excellent coverage. And, oh, by the way, it doesn't hurt that he runs a 4.35 40.
Jeez.
He's super fast.
My goodness.
Yeah, word is it that he has a vocal leader as well, so he'll definitely help that locker room, which we've seen a lot of turnover in Miami and a lot of talk about them needing locker room guys. So if that's the case and this guy is a fit here, he can turn this Dolphins team around.
The Enderman. I like that because I looked at it earlier and I'm like, I don't think I got that one. But I had a ton of faith in you, my friend. And now we talk about the last two picks here in the first round, the defending AFC champions and Super Bowl champions. But first, the AFC champions. Now, AFC champions. What an offseason it's been for the AFC champions. Well, you lose a tough one in the Super Bowl, all right? Then Stephon Diggs has his issues. He's no longer on the team. Then, coach of the year, your boys like, look, I
Celebrate a little too much.
I likes me some reporters, a really good reporter in Diana Rossini. Him and Vrabel will do a little something. Look, what grown folks do is what grown folks do. I will say this, though, and I know we're going a smidge off topic, but I will say this. I felt bad a little for Diana only because we all know she's going to get way more heat than Vrabel's going to get in this situation. Yeah, it's like in her eyes, she should have known better, right? I'm not saying that that's the case, but most people will look at it that way because you are the reporter, you're the media person in that situation.
Media members that are women already don't get a fair shake.
You're right on the same pace that I was going, Lamont.
It really is tough to see.
Yeah, you knew exactly where I was going with that. So it's tough to see. Vrabel did not the other day when they had their pre-draft media press conference. He wasn't there. They did not let my man smartly did not let my man out there for this at all. So it's going to be very interesting to see, if they can look past all of that. Looks like AJ Brown's going to be there after June 1st, so that's something to look into. But with all that being said, where do you see the AFC champions going at number 31?
At 31, I have the New England Patriots selected Keelan Rutledge, inside offensive lineman from Georgia Tech. This could be a reach. Many people don't have him going here, but I do think that with so many O-linemen being picked in this draft, this could be one that he falls here. It could be a need for the Patriots, right? We think about that Super Bowl game and the Seahawks penetrating it way more than they wanted them to. You're going to need some help there, right? If you want to take it to the next level, I think Keelan Rutledge can be that for this team.
Yeah, tough Super Bowl for Will Campbell. I felt really bad for him, man. He was the butt of a lot of jokes at the end of that Super Bowl. And my man came a couple memes came out of that. So tough goal for him. I mean, but hey, you made it to the Super Bowl. You grow, you learn from it, and you don't let it happen again. So we'll see how New England bounces back from there. But Rutledge could be a nice piece on that offensive line. Last but not least, a surprising Super Bowl champion for a lot of people. Yes, a 14-3 season. Nobody, if you unless you're a Seattle Seahawk fan, nobody in their right mind picked the Seattle Seahawks to go to the Super Bowl and win the Super Bowl last year.
Mhm.
No one. No one. And if you tell me you
Not
did, you're
me.
lying.
Right.
If you're not a fan of the team and you picked them, you're lying. You're lying. And shout out to Sam Darnold. Very happy to see Sam Darnold get that ring. The best thing for me about it was I knew Minnesota fans were like, I can't believe we let him go.
Right.
Can't believe we let him go. That's all I hope. I hope that it pains them tremendously that happened. With that being said, Lamont at 32, last pick in the first round here. Where do the Super Bowl champions go?
At number 32 of the first round of the NFL draft, I have the Super Bowl champs, Seattle Seahawks, selecting Jadarian Price, running back Notre Dame. We haven't done too much talks about the other running backs other than Jeremiah Love, but this guy who happens to be coming from the same team, I believe, could be a nice addition to a team that's losing to Kenneth Walker III. He doesn't have too much wear and tear on him, which is more of a, I think it's a, I would say I don't even know what to call that, but it's a benefit, right,
Yeah.
of the Seattle Seahawks. It's something that you would want to see when selecting a running back. We talked about how they don't get their fair shake, uh, but here it is, right? You got a guy who doesn't have too much wear and tear, a guy who can cut. Jadarian Price here for the Seattle Seahawks.
Yeah, I like this move because this feels like the one where you like 3 years from now you was like, man, who thought Price was better than Love?
Right.
Doesn't it feel like that? And I'm not
It does.
saying Love's not going to be great, but it feels like, especially the situation that he could be going to in Seattle. Yeah, yeah, it could
There
be
you
really
go.
good for Price. Not having that wear and tear, have fresher legs, I guess you can say. Not
Sometimes
too
that's
much
the
hype
difference,
around
right?
him.
Is the placement.
Yep, not that much hype around him. Going to a Super Bowl champion that knows how to win, by all means. So there it is. Lamar Thomas's first round mock draft. Before we go to the sleepers, Lamar, how do you feel about your draft overall?
I like it. I know that there's a few different things, but of course, we all look at it in our own eyes of the GMs in terms of need, in terms of what we want to see the team do, and in terms of their patterns and what we think they're going to do. And I think that, this is a great combination or mix of all of those things.
Yeah, man. I like what you did here in some instances. I think some of these are straight on and will really help some teams out. So I'm excited to kind of see how it all plays out on Thursday. And as the NFL draft is around the corner once again. Now, of course, we always do on the Legacy Maker Sports. Now we love to talk sleepers. It's always been a big thing of ours since we used to do our big mega drafts as a group. And so now in another year of doing our drafts, we got to pick our sleepers. So Lamont, I'm going to start first with your defensive sleeper. Sleeper, tell us about this young man.
All right. So my defensive sleeper, I have UR Bernard from Nigeria, defensive tackle. This guy is not real on paper. He runs a 4.63 40-yard dash. He's 6'4", 304 pounds. I'm going to say that again because it doesn't make sense. He's 6'4", 304 pounds.
Sheesh.
He is 6% body fat, and he runs a 4.63.
Good
It's like
night.
it's like almost like a bear with pads on. Uh, this guy is 39-inch vertical. He did a 10-foot, 10-inch broad jump, which is a foot longer than anybody else in the NFL Combine. He's been a part of the HBCU showcase. He's never played football. He's a farmer from Nigeria.
That's crazy.
But if you
He's a
look at his
farmer.
genes, right, his father was a policeman that passed away when he was 16. So he has the fuel right there. But he's been training with the International Player Pathway, and everybody who's seen this guy in these drills and the combine is just they're blown away. And I think that if he goes to a team that remotely can get what it looks like they can get out of him, I think he's going to be a name that could be household.
I ain't gonna lie to you. This feels like a Seattle pick. I'm
Yeah,
going to throw this
or
out there,
Ravens
not
to me.
because I'm gonna tell you right now, the way that Mike McDonald teaches defense, and you know this firsthand, sir. This man has
I
won,
do.
national championship. Goes out there to Baltimore, has the number one defense. out there, comes to Seattle, wins a Super Bowl. This feels like if he goes to Seattle, he's going to bring the best out of this young man.
I
That's
can
the
see it.
pick. That's the spot for me. That's just the spot for me. I
I
got a
can
really
see
good
it.
feeling about that.
Absolutely.
And then now we swing to your offensive sleeper pick. 6'9", not 6'7", ladies and gentlemen. 6'9". Tell us about the 6'9" monster, Travis Burke.
Travis Burke, offensive tackle for Memphis. I think this guy, size, like you said, 6'9", 325 pounds. His physical traits are unfair. I think that he's so strong. He plays all the way to the whistle. He's a coach's dream, right? And I think that if a team gets this guy and he develops the way he looks like he can, he'll be a offensive staple to come. He'll be one of those guys that we talk about. It's just, well, you don't really got to worry about protecting the quarterback on this side because you have Travis Burke.
Yeah, look, man, 6'9" monster out of Memphis. I can't wait to see where this young man goes. I'm very intrigued to see how it all kind of plays out there as we get ready for Thursday's NFL draft. Lamont, once again, brother, as always, it's a pleasure to have you on, man, and just sit up and chop it up
Absolutely.
and talk some football. We don't get a chance to do it as much as we'd like to because of the running around that we both do, but it was good to have you back to do some NFL draft talk, brother.
Always a good time, man. I appreciate you having me on. Like you said, it's always fun. I wish we could do it way more than we do, but we got to
Yeah.
keep going.
Yeah, got to keep going, y'all. I mean, but don't worry, it won't be the last time. We got Legacy on Fire coming back here in the next couple of weeks, so we got to drag our boy out there at some point and get him back on the air to talk some sports and all that good stuff. But look, once again, everybody, thank you all for tuning in. This is our next to last one. Jay will be back tomorrow to give us our final mock draft before we hit the draft on Thursday. So thank you all for tuning in on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. And, of course, we are on the amazing Bowie Television. So we thank y'all all for tuning in, watching. Hope you like some of the picks. Check us out on all our social media pages, the YouTube and all that other fancy stuff, and the website at www.legacymaker.com, all that fun stuff. Go check us out. Go do that. You know what I'm saying?
Please.
Once again, I'm Darrell Owens. That's Lamont Thomas, Legacy Maker Sports Network. We'll see you all next time. One, 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 one. Welcome to the 101. When it comes to ratings, man, we number one. I get the truth, then I give them the scoop. If anybody got a question, I give them the proof.